Hello, welcome back to our 5-acre farm. It is a snowy, cold winter day on the farm here in March of 2024. Idaho is just reminding us that winter's not over yet. Seemed like we were warming up and then it got cold again. I love the snow. If it's gonna be cold, I'd rather have the snow on the ground than cold and no snow. Even the chickens aren't out today. Oh, there they are. There's one. There's one. Oh, there they are. They're all under cover. They're all under cover over there. I haven't given them their scratch yet. I'll come back later and give them their scratch. I go out and feed the goats and the pigs. Yeah, and then it's going to be like in the 40s later this week. So, very, very fluctuating weather we're having. But like I said, I love the snow, so I'm glad to see it. It's been snowing all morning, so not a lot. Getting a couple inches, 2-3 inches, nothing crazy. I don't have to plow or anything for 3 inches. So I've been doing a series. I started to do a series on basically introducing our animals because I had realized I hadn't really done like an introduction to all our animals. You see them in my videos, but I haven't really talked much about them, I don't think. So my last video I talked about the bucks. This video I figure we'll jump over to the commercial breed pigs and talk about them today, okay? So these are our two commercial breed pigs that we are raising for food. They're waiting for their morning feed. This is what we feed them. There's some snow in there. I don't normally feed them snow. These are locally grown and milled grains. There is oats, wheat, peas, barley. This is all non-GMO, so no genetically modified organisms. There's no corn in this, and there's no soy in this. Corn is what a lot of industrial farms will use because it fattens them up really quickly. But from what I understand is that if you feed them all corn, they're going to get a lot of fat on them. So we try to keep that down and get the best meat we can. I'm going to get and feed them so it'll quiet down. So pigs are absolutely ravenous. When they're hungry, they want to eat. That's why you insult someone by saying eat like a pig. You heard them, they were going crazy. Because they know it's feeding time. So if I were to come back out here an hour or two from now, they wouldn't be doing that because they know that it's not time to eat. When I come back out later in the afternoon, they'll know it's time to eat and they will want their food again. So the breed, I got snow all over me from doing my chores. So the breed of these pigs are mixed with 3 different breeds. They are Duroc, Hampshire, and Yorkshire, however you say it. Hampshire, Yorkshire, and Duroc. All 3 of those breeds, again, I'm no expert, from what I understand, all 3 of those breeds are all excellent meat pigs. Those are the types of pigs that you're going to get in a grocery store or in a restaurant. They are the most efficient. Any of those breeds are the most efficient. The person we bought them from just happened to have them all mixed together. From what I understand, a lot of people say that Duroc is like the number one best tasting or best growing. So we have a mixture of these. They get big fairly quickly. Now, we chose to raise ours in the wintertime. So doing that, raising them in the wintertime, it takes a little bit longer. It takes a little bit more feed. And we knew that, we understood that. We did it for a couple reasons. It's a little bit easier to get into a processor during the winter. So we'll be processing these. Actually, technically, I think it'll be springtime. because we're going to process these hopefully right around the beginning of April. And we got them last September. So what is that? September 7 months. So now, hi Ruby. Ruby, come over to say hi. The person I bought them from said, oh, they're going to be 300. He was a very, you could tell, he was an old timer, old school farmer. Did things the old school way. Nothing wrong with that. It was a pleasure to meet him. He wasn't very talkative, but it was a pleasure to meet him, pleasure to see his farm. I think the only thing he raised was hogs. He told me, oh, in 4 months, 3 or 4 months, they'll be 300 pounds. They'll be ready to go. I assume if you feed them straight corn, maybe that big. We chose not to. We kind of want to keep the fat to a minimum. Pork already contains a large amount of fat, so we want to keep it to a minimum. So we chose to go with a non-GMO, obviously. We don't really want lab-created grain. We don't want to feed them food that was made in the lab, just like I don't want to eat, the Impossible Burger or whatever that, stuff is. I don't want to eat chemically infused, laboratory-created meat. That's not what the human body was evolved to consume, in my opinion. So I don't want to feed that to my pigs, because then I'll be eating that. Also, it doesn't contain the corn and the soy. I'm not 100% positive what's going on with the soy. I know they say too much soy is not good for you, whether it's for animals or for human consumption. There's a lot of different reasons for that. I think, don't quote me, I think soy is also a GMO grain. Not grain, but GMO grown. Corn definitely is. If you're buying corn in America, if you're eating any corn in America, unless you know for certain it is organic, non-GMO, then you are most likely eating a GMO corn, because that's how they grow it. That is the number one produced crop in America as far as GMO goes. So we chose not to do that. We chose to try and feed them as natural as possible. We also give them table scraps, so they get leftovers. That way nothing in the house goes to waste. I give them a little bit of meat, but not really. I don't give them meat. I give them chicken. I know chicken's meat. I know. Stop typing. I know. I stay away from beef, and I definitely stay away from pork. So mostly our leftover vegetables, rice, sometimes pasta. We don't need a whole lot of pasta. Surprising since I'm Italian, but we kind of got away from that. So a lot of leftover bread, a lot of leftover vegetables. And that's a good way to make sure nothing in your home goes to waste. To me, it feels terrible throwing away food. We hate doing that, so we try not to do it. We'd rather give it to our animals. So 7 months to raise these, 7, 8, I guess it'll be 8 by the time we're done. That's a long time, but it's also raise them in the wintertime. That causes it. Especially, we had that week of sub-zero temperatures where basically they're shivering. And anytime you're shivering, or an animal is shivering, they're burning calories. They're shivering in order to keep themselves warm. That's why your body shivers when you're cold. It's your body's way of warming itself up. So we had that 1 week of it was -6 every day, with a couple days of -14, with -27 overnight. So that halts their growth, because they're basically shivering off their weight overnight to keep themselves warm. Ruby, the goat, is still over here. You gonna get in the picture, Ruby? So that costs us, more money to raise them longer for feed. And also another reason, another benefit. So that's the con, obviously. Ruby is pulling out my jacket behind me. So that's a con, obviously. Ruby, what are you doing? Hi, baby. Ruby is like a puppy dog. She's just like a pet, I say I don't keep my livestock for pets, but she is like a pet. I almost wish I could bring her in the house, but I got enough animals in the house already. Hi, pretty girl. So anyways, back to the Ruby's going to be spotlighted in another video. Back to the pigs. Another benefit of raising them in the wintertime, or one benefit of raising them in the wintertime, is that a lot less flies. So the winter, so in the summer, our other pigs, who I'll spotlight in another video, they're gonna go through the woods in the summertime. So we're gonna rotationally graze them. We're gonna rotationally graze the other pigs through the woods in the summertime. These would have been rotationally grazed well, actually they were. When we first got them in September, it was still warm weather. So we were rotating them around our garden area because we wanted them to till that up for us. So we were rotating them every week into a different area. In the wintertime, we obviously have to keep them in one spot because there's no food out there. There's no greenery in the woods right now, nothing for them to eat. It's cold, covered in snow. Typically, on a typical year, that the ground is going to be frozen solid. This year, it's been a mild winter, but typically the ground's going to be frozen. All the goats are interested in what I'm doing. So you keep them in one area. If you keep them in one area all the time, if you don't rotationally graze them and you just keep them in a pen, like this pen is plenty big enough for 2 pigs. I mean, this pen is pretty big, you know. I think it's 50 by 35, something like that. So this is a pretty good size. So, but with that said, so if you raise them in just one pen all summer, you're gonna have a lot of flies. It's gonna smell a bit. I do believe in the theory that Joel Salatin puts forth, that a well-kept farm, well-kept and managed farm shouldn't smell. If your farm stinks, then you're doing something wrong. Like lately this week, I know that the pig pens have been stinking before the snow fell. I mean, now you can't smell anything. But I know that I had to add straw. I know they were due for straw because I utilize a deep bedding method with the pigs. You may have heard me talk about that deep bedding method with the chickens, where basically you throw down a carbon. So in this case, I use straw. Chickens, I use the pine shavings. That's a carbon. Are you kidding me? She's biting at the tripod. She's biting at me. She's a sweet girl. You'll be in another video, baby. You'll be in another video, okay? So you utilize the carbon, and then they urinate and defecate on the straw. So you're adding nitrogen to that carbon. And it's as Joel Salatin says, it's a carbonaceous diaper. So it's collecting all of that nitrogen, and it's going to break down and turn to compost. So after, say, a week, you add more straw. They're going to urinate, defecate all over it. You add more straw. You keep piling up. Okay, and then you're left with just basically a big pile of manure mixed with the straw. So you have nitrogen mixed with carbon. You'll have the rain and the snow will add the water to it that you need for compost. And then also, I guess the manure would add the organic matter that you need. So with that said, it was smelling pretty good. Well, it was smelling pretty bad. It was stinking up pretty good. So I knew I had to add it. So if I was doing that in the summertime, it'd be pretty bad. It would be pretty bad. You'd have to really stay on top of it as far as the deep bedding, if that's something you chose to do. So what we want to do with that deep bedding, so we utilize that for all our animals. So even in here, in the goat pen, we utilize the deep bedding. We keep adding more and more straw to it to pile it up on top of their manure. So come springtime, we can hopefully get the tractor in here, dig it out, and it'll be good quality compost for us. So that's the idea behind that. But during the winter, raising them in the wintertime in one spot, it keeps the flies down. The wintertime keeps the smells down. So that's a good benefit as well. It just takes long. You just have to be cognizant of that it's going to take you longer. And if it takes you longer to grow them out, that means it's going to cost you more money in feed. And they eat a lot. They eat a lot. So they can be expensive if you're taking too long. So typically these commercial breeds will grow out pretty quickly. And these ones took a while to really go from just a small piglet into like getting to be full grown. But once they got to a certain weight, once they got probably to 150, 180 pounds, then the weight just kept packing on. They faster and faster, and they getting bigger and bigger. So they do grow pretty fast. I mean, these were tiny little piglets, you know, when we first got them. So it's interesting to see. We did name them. My wife wanted to name them. So the pink one, no, the brown one is pork chop, and the pink one is applesauce. Again, it's kind of like I mentioned in the other video with the bucks. If we name them, it's easier to know which one we're talking about. We don't cuddle with them. I pet them a little bit, but we treat them good. We treat them with respect. We treat them with dignity. They're not our pets. We know what the outcome is gonna be for them, but we still want to give them the best life we can while they're here on our farm. We want to treat them humanely. And when we go to harvest them, we'll slaughter them humanely, in the most humane, least painful way that we can. But a lot of people are, I don't know, they're kind of grossed out by farm-raised food. A lot of people that I know, that I've talked to, they don't want to eat farm fresh eggs. They think that's gross. They don't want to eat farm-raised chicken. They think that's gross. But you're eating it in a grocery store, and if you think eating food like this is gross, that's being raised like this, and again, during the summertime, they were raised on pasture. They didn't come in here until the winter hit. If you think this is gross, watch some videos on industrial farming. You won't want to eat meat from the grocery store again. I don't know if I've mentioned in my other videos, Netflix has a show. I don't know if it's still on there or not. It's a documentary called Food Inc. So Food Incorporated, Food Inc. Check that out. Check that out. You will not want to eat grocery store meat again. You'll be like, all right, sign me up. I'm gonna go out and buy myself a cow. When you see how industrial farms raise the food that you're consuming, putting in your body, putting in your children's body, you'll think twice about it. I'm not Mr. Healthy. I eat way too much ice cream. But the meat I'm raising and consuming, and now we've gotten to a point now where we're only eating our own meat that we raise. We're not buying meat from the grocery store anymore. I know where it's coming from. I know it doesn't have chemicals in it. We don't give antibiotics. We don't give vaccines. We deworm, but we don't do any of that other stuff. We don't put chemicals into our food. So we are healthier. Yeah, I probably eat too much sugar. I probably should stop putting sugar in my coffee in the morning. So I'm not claiming to be Mr. Healthy, but at the same time, what I'm putting into my body, I know what it is, you know. For example, I've been drinking those flavored coffee creamers for years, and that's nothing but oil. That's nothing but industrial seed oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, crap that you shouldn't eat. So I switched over to regular half and half and sugar, and I know sugar's not good for me, but at least it's better than all the chemicals I'm consuming. My wife is down in California right now, and we've only been living here for 8 months, and she is just blown away by the amount of fast food places. She just can't get over the amount of fast food restaurants are down there. We don't have any where we live. Now, there are fast food restaurants in North Idaho, don't get me wrong. You can find anything you want. McDonald's, Carl's Jr., Arby's, you can find all that stuff up there. But where we live, like, we have to drive a half hour to get to any of those places. Where we live, there's zero, no fast food restaurants around us at all. We don't have any, so we don't eat fast food. So that's another thing. I mean, the fast food industry, they're buying that industrial meat, you know. I'm not going to preach because I'm not in the greatest, health, but I try to consume good food. This is, so I know some people think, oh, how could you do that? If you're a vegan, I get it. If that's your choice, that's fine. I have known people who were vegans strictly because of the way animals are treated and harvested. So if that's your reason for being a vegan, then just go to a small farm and buy the meat that's humanely raised, So that's why we do what we do. So I know it seems harsh that we're going to slaughter these pigs, but we'd be buying pork from a grocery store anyways. So I'd rather know how they're raised. I'd rather raise them humanely, with dignity, and treat them good while they're with us. So this one, the brown one here, is a lot bigger than the pink one, and they're both females. So I'm not sure why that is. It is what it is, you know. I would guess. I got to measure them. There is a way to measure, to use a tape measure and measure them. And then there's a formula to figure out the weight, to get an estimate of their weight. So if I had to guess, I'd say easy 250 pounds, easy. And she's a little smaller, so she kind of worries me a little bit. So I would say 180 to 200 pounds maybe for her, maybe 210, maybe. So that one is definitely ready to go. And this one, I'm hoping will put on a little bit more weight in the next month. And admittedly, I may choose to give them some corn, to finish them on corn, maybe. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to talk to some people I know, because I do want her to bulk up a little bit more, you know. But so far, so good with them, you know. So these are our 2 commercial breed pigs. So they won't be with us this summer or this spring. So once we start getting our chickens and turkeys in, and once we start moving all our animals into the woods and rotating them, these 2 won't be with us anymore. They'll be going off to freezer camp. And that'll be it. And we won't have to raise. We're going to keep one of these, and we're going to sell the other one. We won't have to raise another pig probably for a year. So probably the next time, if we choose to raise a commercial breed again, the next time we'll get a piglet won't be until probably a year from this spring. So a little over a year, maybe May, I'm just guessing, maybe May of 2025, because that is, especially if we choose to keep the bigger one, that is definitely going to be enough pork for my family for a full year. No doubt about it. Would you stop, buddy? You'll get your own video, I promise. So if you have any questions, comments, you know, put it down below in the comments. Let me know what you think. Ask me anything you want. I don't know if I'll have the answer. If you're experienced with raising pigs, please give me some advice. I'd appreciate it. Like I said, I do have some people to lean on. And a lot of what I do is based on my own research as well. So far, so good. So again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you on the next video. And we'll give the goats their spotlight because they are dying for some attention. Okay? Thank you. See you next time.